Awesome. So yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for Lilia bringing me in for intro to prototyping. I have been prototyping almost my entire life and I haven't known that's what I was doing, but now I get to do it as a career. And so it's something I absolutely love. So I'm really excited to give you all a little bit of an intro on prototyping and kind of the perspective that I've built on it over the last 4 to 6 years that I've been working with IDEO, as well as show you some examples that I love and pull a lot of inspiration from. So to start off, I'll start off with a quick intro. So hi there, my name is Takashi Wick. I started at IDEO early on in 2016, actually, and I'll go back into the history of it, but I started in 2016 as a participant in a college fellowship program that they had with IDEO Collab, which was the research and design department of IDEO. And then throughout my time at IDEO, I've kind of went from a participant of a program to a fellowship to an intern to a designer, and now today I'm a design lead at IDEO, and so that's managing teams throughout IDEO. But before that, it was a lot of working on designs, and I still do that day to day. And my skill set has shifted from animation to interaction design to visual interaction design, and now more to design leader. But to really start it off, where my career started, as Lilia said, was I started in computer science at the University of Florida. I was originally focused on a career in programming. That's kind of the only thing that I really knew, was an opportunity for somebody who really enjoyed creating things. I thought that computer science was going to be the outlet to, finding a career within making things, especially making things with code. And I loved making animations and things like that before college. And so computer science kind of seemed like a great fit for me. But what I ended up doing actually during my time in school was I ended up drawing a lot. I ended up joining these things called hackathons, which were really big back then and still are now. But at the time, there was still kind of a new thing that was happening across the country. And based out of Florida, we don't have that many tech job opportunities. And so this was kind of a way that we could kind of gather up a group of friends, make things over the course of 36 hours, and then present them and then kind of repeat and rinse and repeat. And we actually started to get a pretty big group. We started to go to many different hackathons across the country, started winning a few of the hackathons as well, and really started to build up this skill set around, making something, like figuring out an idea really quickly, making something, and then presenting it and trying to convey an idea. And then we actually started gathering people all across the state of Florida, and we started chartering buses. We would plan out trips. So we would travel all around the country. And we did this for about 2 years. Every weekend, it was traveling somewhere new, being there for 36 hours, no sleep, making something, and then presenting it and kind of coming up with these new ideas. And I did about 30 or so hackathons throughout my time in school. But one of the last hackathons I actually did was with this company called IDEO Collab. And they were doing this 8-hour makeathon in Boston. Boston was one of the cities that I had been to before, but I wanted to do another makeathon. And this was one of the last makeathons that I did because it was actually the application process into IDEO. So this was back in 2016, October of 2016, the first time I had ever heard of design thinking, the first time I had ever heard of interaction design, actually, because I was so focused on computer science, and this kind of exposed my world view into this idea of design and kind of showcased that all that I was doing throughout this whole time was design. I would be the person that would show up on these projects, do more of the prototyping side, building things, and then a little bit of coding, but I always sided towards, trying to make things with whatever I had at hand. And then that continued on. I joined IDEO full-time and was focused really on animation from the start. And I was focused in After Effects, doing self-framed animation, as well as a little bit of 3D animation. And from there, I continued on, and I actually joined a group called Design for Play within the IDEO Play Lab, and that's where I am today. And so within that, I'm doing projects, usually about a 3-month project, or even projects that go upwards to a year. And they've spanned from everything from, continuing my side in animation, building things in Unity and doing, 3D design and game design, as well as doing a lot of interface design on unconventional programs, which I'll talk a little bit more on later. As well as now doing more within the service design realm and kind of creating new companies, creating new ventures, and testing them out in the world. And so throughout this, I've kind of had this career of doing prototyping on these smaller deliverables with animation, these kind of mid-level new concepts with mockups and UI design, as well as using prototyping to test a real company in the field, and then see if it's viable and testable. And this is a case called Beyond the Bag, where we actually tested 5 bag solutions within the state of California for a month, and we was working with all these different companies, pushing their designs further and using a lot of different techniques of prototyping. And then again, as I mentioned, I'm based out of the IDEO Play Lab. That's where I found a home back in 2018, and I've been there for 4 years since. And if you're not familiar, the Play Lab, we have a 30-year history with IDEO. We're actually the toy invention group within IDEO. And so a lot of what we do is for the last 30 years, we've been inventing toys. And I can talk a lot about the toy invention process as well. But a lot of what toy invention actually looks like is creating ideas from scratch. So we start with a brainstorm of a new toy in the market, and then we create sketches of those toys, and then we create what we call tinkers of those toys. And that's a lot of creating something that can be playable. We share that idea with a Mattel or Hasbro or another popular toy company, and they'll actually create the toy. And so within the Play Lab, there's a lot of this kind of raw invention energy and a lot of prototyping, because we have to create a lot of ideas and sell different ideas. And so my team is based out of the Play Lab, and we take the learnings from the toy invention side and we apply that to everyday challenges. But also throughout the rest of IDEO, there's this energy around prototyping, around experimentation and creating new things, as you've probably heard before or are familiar with. And then one of the key aspects of prototyping is this idea of talk less, do more. And this is one of the IDEO values. This is probably the one that I've gravitated to the most, because within the Play Lab, we really, live behind this words of, you've probably heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a film is worth 1,000,000 words. But we like to say a prototype is worth a conversation. And we'll dig a little bit deeper into that. But really with a prototype, you're able to share conversation with other folks. You're able to, express your ideas in a way where it's easier to communicate with others, and you're going beyond words or beyond what just a visualization might be able to do.